Recorded.
Hello and welcome to Care for Each Other Infopoint. So for staff who don't know me, my name is Rachel Maguire and I'm currently supporting the Trust in our mental health and wellbeing agenda. And you'll all be aware of, by now, of our Care for Each Other campaign. And these set of meetings that I'm going to post on our site and on VivUp are a little bit of information about some of the services that are available for our staff outside the trust that will help us with a huge range of mental health issues, anxieties, and other support services that we might need. And for me, this is a learning curve, and I'm contacting these services and saying, can you tell me all about what you do, how you do it, and who you can help? And I thought, what would be a better way of sharing this information rather than a leaflet or a telephone number is if I could share my meetings with all the staff. So today is our first of the Care for Each Other info point, and I'm really delighted to welcome Denise to our meetings today. And Denise is the Chief Officer of North East Links Women's Aid. So welcome, Denise.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Great. So I've got some questions to learn all about Women's Aid, and I'm going to be giving Denise quite a grilling over the next couple of minutes. So it's the first for her as well, so bear with us, and hopefully this will be really useful. And if any staff at the end of this think that they would like me to have a meeting with any other services that they would like to hear about, if you can drop me an email, and then I'll try and arrange it with them. So, okay, are we sitting comfortably, Denise?
Yeah.
I feel like the pressure's on. Okay.
As in an interview.
Yeah. So can we start off with, so we've heard loads in the news around women's aid and domestic abuse. So can you just tell us, because things have changed over the years, what actually is domestic abuse?
So mostly people put domestic abuse under three headings, which can be physical, sexual, or emotional. That's been the case for a long, long time. And when we deliver training, we break those headings down into what those headings actually mean. So obviously physical abuse, that's what most people think it is, just the physical stuff. But obviously sexual abuse, including rape within relationships and marriages, it's the sexual stuff. And then emotional stuff, people will probably know that more commonly now and more recently to be called coercive control, which is about not hitting anybody, not laying a finger on them, but controlling their lives to the point of despair, really. And that time when people think, am I going mad? What's he doing? What is going on in my life? I don't understand what's going on, but not feeling that they can get help possibly or call for help. We have hundreds of phone calls where people say they didn't think they could ring us because he's never hit them. So I think because it's under those different headings, the emotional and psychological abuse is the stuff that stays with people for years and years, but it's the stuff that also stops people from coming for help because they haven't been beaten or they've had a black eye or a broken bone or punch, so they don't call for help. Whereas the emotional stuff or coercive control is very much embedded in that abuse, and coercive control is embedded in the physical and sexual abuse as well. So they all overlap, but sometimes, for the sake of sorting one from the other, in training, we break down what each of those heading means. For example, in emotional abuse, financial abuse could be in there. So nobody's hitting anyone, but they're not allowed any money, or they're not allowed to go out, or they're not allowed to see friends, or they're not allowed to work, or they're not allowed to go to college, or they have to have the hair a certain way, or the house a certain way. So all that emotional cruelty really is still classed as domestic abuse, and that message is very difficult to get across. Please ring. This is just, it's important for you to get help and support. But unfortunately, people don't, if they don't think they haven't been hit or raped or.
That's really interesting, because that's the bit that and thank you for explaining that I really wanted to get across. That in society we have historically, I think, just thought about abuse being somebody that was physically hurt. So that's really interesting and really useful, I think, for everybody that might be listening. So if that is the case and you're asking us to reach out for help and support, can you explain to me a little bit about what is Women's Aid?
So Women's Aid is a local registered charity, and we provide support and accommodation for people who are in abusive relationships. So that can be people who are in crisis on that day. So they either ring the police or they ring us and say, I need to get out, I can't cope anymore, this has happened. And there may have been what we call an incident. So people would ring us for that. Or they might ring us for, I don't like how this is and I'm feeling uncomfortable with it, but I'm not sure what I can do. And I love my house, or I love my partner, or I don't want to disturb the kids. So all those things that people, we call them just giving people options about what's available. So if people are worried about what the options are, then I would just encourage people to just give us a call so we can talk through those things. And that's mostly one of the things that we do is offer support. We do accommodation, which I'll talk about in a minute, but support can be offered in various ways. More recently, obviously, because of COVID, we have been doing lots of video work like this. So sitting in a room somewhere and having a conversation with somebody on video can be done, but we still had to maintain our one-to-one support as well. So we had to make sure that, because sometimes if you've been beaten or abused in any way and you walk out of the house and you need someone to talk to, sometimes a video don't do it. So we've had to, or a phone call. So we've had to set up facilities within our women's centre that are safe and allow people to walk through, sit in a room with a support worker, but do that in a very safe and controlled way. So we've had to carry that on throughout lockdown. However, most of the support, the majority that we've done during lockdown, has been on video or on telephone. We've had a big increase in the number of people contacting us by phone, by Facebook and email as well. So doing that social media type stuff, contact that is also anonymous as well if people want it to be. So, so the support is one thing that we offer, and that can be any time. Our helpline is 24 hours a day, so that can be any time if you need to talk to someone or you've got an emergency. The other side of what Women's Aid does is accommodation. So most people will be aware that there's a women's refuge in town or in most towns, and that can mean that usually is, not always, but usually is an incident that's happened where someone has to leave and give up everything, their property, their home, their lifestyle, and come and live in refuge with us. So that's something else that we offer. And we have really lovely accommodation. It's very nice. It's a bit like Butlins. If people are worried about what refuge is like and you've been to Butlins, that's how I describe it. They're like little units with a couple of bedrooms, a little bathroom, dining room, and kitchen and living room. So they look a bit like that. And that's our accommodation. And people can come to that when they need help to actually physically leave the property. So most people are in a dilemma whether to stay where they are and get hit the perpetrator out, or he's never going to leave, so I have to leave. So that's sort of where people sometimes are in their thought processes around finding out what Women's Aid do. So we can help with all of that. We have lots of other things going on, more so outside of COVID, but we have lots of programs that we can help women to go on. We have 12-week programs about understanding the abuse. We have programs about building self-esteem and confidence and basically getting your life back again, because going through abuse sometimes plummets people into a place of like a lack of self-worth and self-belief. So we do a lot of work around that as well. We help people go to court. We help people while they're going through police statements, which are quite daunting. We help people who have gone through sexual abuse to go through the process of pressing charges if they want to. So there's lots of different things that we can offer. We also have a legal drop-in as well, which is useful for people who may need help from a solicitor, but again don't know what their options are, don't know how much it's going to cost, don't know if they can get legal aid. So to come to a free drop-in, which we have 3 every month, is a real useful, valuable service for women.
So that's really comprehensive and really opened my eyes to the amount of services and support you can offer women. I've got a few questions based on what you just said. So one of the things that we're talking about and you touched on is we're in lockdown, as it's called now.
Yeah.
So if there is women that are suffering from domestic abuse and want to access one of the refuges, and they'd be thinking, I can't go out because we're in lockdown, are you saying, yes, come to us, it's safe for you to leave to come to the refuge? They're not going to get a fine from the police for being out in the middle of the night with it?
Absolutely not. If anybody did, I would be on the case. No, definitely not. I mean, the reason we're all at home in our homes is to stay safe. And sometimes home for some people is not the safest place and they need to get out. I would say to people, call us, email us. There's a link directly through to me on our website. I get all those emails. They can come to a one-to-one and just turn up if they want to. But we don't advertise our address for obvious reasons, to keep us all safe. So, the best thing would be to give us a ring, drop us an email, and then we can arrange what is the best option for you. But at the end of the day, if you need to get out, you need to get out, and the message is get out. And if there was ever an urgent situation, ring 999 and then they will ring us.
Okay, so a couple of questions around that. So if I go to the refuge, can I bring all my children with me?
You can bring all your children with you, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
will I be forced or made contact the police?
No, absolutely not.
So if I come to the refuge...
Sorry.
No, you broke up a bit then. So my question was, Denise, would I be forced to contact the police?
No, definitely not. You won't be forced to contact the police. One thing we're quite proud of is the fact that women can get help from us and they don't have to be contacting the police. The reason we encourage women to ring the police is because if we don't, domestic abuse will never change. This will always go on if we don't hold perpetrators to account for what they're doing. But absolutely not. If someone doesn't want to involve the police, they don't have to. They can just leave and start to move on from there.
Okay, great. So what if I came to the refuge but then decided I wanted to return home to my partner? Will I be allowed to do that?
Yeah, that's perfectly okay. Women often return back to violent partners. I think what most people don't understand is that we love partners and we want the violence to go away, not the person. So why would we just get up and leave? So sometimes it's a difficult decision to leave them and then have lots of regrets and be lonely and feel like you're missing them and things have changed and things inevitably, leaving makes you feel worse as well. So, of course, we expect people to go back to partners. They go back, especially if the partner's saying things like he's going to change and he won't do it again and all those sorts of things. Then the person probably may go back, try again, that might not work. Then they come back to us and then they miss them and then they go back again. So we can see women 5 and 6 times or more before they make a final decision to leave the partner.
Okay, so what if I'm in a household when I'm not safe, suffering from any one of the 3 elements of abuse that you described earlier, but it's not actually my partner? So if it's a family member that is the perpetrator, can I still access the services at Women's Aid?
Yeah, we have lots of people who are accessing our service from abusive people. What we don't have at Women's Aid, which we would absolutely love, is a specific service for people who are being abused by their own children, sometimes teenagers and older children. So, but that would still fall under the category of domestic abuse. But it would be really nice for us to have a service just for that family abuse. And we've had people who have had to move away because of other family members or neighbours and things like that. So.
Okay, so when we've been talking and we've been talking about the perpetrator, we've used he or him.
Yeah.
What if I'm in a same-sex relationship and my partner is a female? Am I still able to access Women's Aid?
Yeah, and similarly, if you were a gay man and you had a male partner, that would still be open for supporting people who were in same-sex relationships. So that wouldn't stop people from coming for support or us offering support. And sometimes we get, horrific stories where gay men have been told to sort it out themselves because they're two men and, fight it out amongst themselves and stuff. But for people in same-sex relationships, the abuse is still there, the abuse is still happening, and they still need the support. So definitely, yes.
Okay, so when we're talking now to my colleagues across the trust, if I had an inkling or I suspected one of my colleagues was actually suffering from domestic abuse, how would I approach that subject with a colleague?
It's really difficult because you could leave leaflets around or drop hints around but it's really difficult because some people, rightly so, just don't want to talk about it and it's embarrassing. They have to come out as being a victim and admitting that this is happening to them. Sometimes they feel bad about what they've let happen to themselves and I think in the workplace that's always really difficult. We have loads of people that we support anonymously because they work that maybe they're a social worker or a police officer or again someone within health. And what we do at Women's Aid is we have a facility within our system to block cases so that other people don't see. So if we've got a health visitor that works within Women's Aid and comes to the refuge on a job and she needs help, she don't want everybody knowing. So I think probably within your workplace, you're going to have lots of people who don't want everybody within Women's Aid or within the health authority knowing what's going on in their home. Domestic abuse has always been, well, it's called domestic because it's in the home. It's always been a private matter and people are very reluctant to talk about it or to get help. So we have to just chip away at that. And so there's no golden rule really about how to tackle it with somebody. But what we do know when people have left is that they've been really pleased of the very first person that said to them, are you going through domestic abuse or are you in a controlling relationship or what's things like for you at home? You seems like you're really struggling so it's really difficult to approach, but when you've done it, you've got to be prepared for the worst case scenario, which is if she tells you to go away politely and she doesn't appreciate that you've tried to help. So it's always a really tricky subject to talk to people about it.
So I would think, so I would agree with you, and as a manager and as a colleague, I would feel nervous talking to colleagues, but I would also feel that I would want to help. So, and this is one of the reasons why we're doing the video. So I think that what we could do is, and like you said, when we put leaflets out, make sure our teams are all aware of where to get the information. So for me, I would be advising my teams to take some time out to watch the videos that we have on our Care for Each Other site, and I might put the leaflets up and then just make it a subject that's open to talk about. But like you said, if somebody, I thought it was interesting when you said, Denise, you can chip away at it. So if you ask them and they say no, I wouldn't forget about it. Maybe you take a couple of weeks and bring it up again. And then for me, I would take my responsibility that I would think if that was, I thought a colleague was suffering from domestic abuse, to make sure that I knew how to signpost people, because knowing the Women's Aid number, having watched this video, knowing what services there is just a helping hand to a colleague to say, here, why don't you go and have a look at this or phone this number? Because none of us are professionals. You guys are the professionals, and that's what we just want to do, is signpost to yourselves.
I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. And what I do know to be true is that women don't want you to give up. They, you know, just because they love them and they want to go back to them, and you think, oh, why is she going back to him? Why ain't she ringing Women's Aid for help? Is that has to be perfectly okay with you. You have to accept that at that point they're not ready, because when they are ready, they'll come back to you. They know that you get it. If you get that, you understand that she might go back to him or she might love him, then she's going to more likely come to you than someone who don't understand. I was just going to quickly say as well, I don't know whether it'd be useful for your team as well, that we did a survey within health 3 or 4 years ago now, but we asked people how we could have got to them sooner, how could we have helped them, and why didn't they report it, and why didn't they tell someone like a colleague? And they said nobody ever asked them. I think it was something like 78% said nobody had ever asked them. So asking them is difficult, but we know that it's the thing that they sort of want. They've said it to GPs. You know, you go to a GP because you're depressed or you've got anxiety, when really what she might be wanting the GP to do is ask about the relationship and what it's like for us. So I always try and remember that it might be difficult, and there's been loads of times where I've asked people and it's gone terribly wrong, and they haven't wanted to disclose anything and were horrified that I'd even thought it. But that's worth it for the ones that we have asked and we've been able to help. And it's easier to talk about that after you've left, because while you're in the thick of it, you don't want everybody to be talking about it or knowing about it. So it's forming that relationship with someone who they think understands.
I think that's really useful and really powerful what you said, that 78% of people would have liked to been asked. So I think that's a really nice place for us to round up and say, let's ask if we think, let's ask our colleagues. So I wonder if you could I know you, in your capacity of North East Links, you're speaking on behalf of Grimsby and Cleethorpes Women Aid, and there's different contact numbers for Scunthorpe and wider areas such as Hull. So the National Domestic Abuse Helpline I can give to staff is 0808 20 00 247. But Denise, if you could give us some local contacts there. You talked about phone number, email address. Would you like to give us that?
Yeah. So if you ring the national number, they will give you our number as well. So you know, if people do want to ring them, that's fine. It just saves you a phone call if you ring direct. But our number is very easy. We paid a lot of money for it to be very easy. So it's 575757, and that would get you through to someone to talk to. We also do support for male victims of domestic abuse, and our number for that is 588888. So all the eights. But what we do know from the male victims that we've supported is they've all rung the 57 number. So it's just easy to remember, 575757. Either way, you'll get through to someone. So if you do want to email, there's a link directly from our website. You just put Women's Aid Grimsby in the search bar and our website will come up. And there's an email facility under the bit that says what help is available. Our email is there, and it's support@womensaidnel.org.
Brilliant, Denise, thank you. And I suppose the important phone number as well is if you're in a real unsafe situation with an emergency, 999.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for today, and I've learned loads, and I'm sure our staff will find this really useful. And we've now got a partnership between us, and I hope to keep this going between Women's Aid and Northern Lincolnshire and Girl. So I hope to talk to you again soon in the future.
Yeah, can I just say as well, if people, when we do get back to working in groups and things, if people, I know I do lots of stuff within health around going to staff teams and staff training and stuff. So if people want me to just come and talk for half an hour to their staff teams or their staff meetings, I'm absolutely available to do that. The more we spread the word about this, and we do have drop-ins within GP surgeries, although they're all on hold at the minute. That's something I can come and tell teams about if anybody wants to give me a call and arrange when we get out of lockdown.
Brilliant. I'll definitely take you up on that offer. So going forward, we'll have lots of plans on wellbeing days and information sessions. So thank you so much for your offer, and thank you for today.
Thank you.